to another episode of Rinkside. And Mick, it's spring break here at St. Cloud State, but not for the Huskies as they look forward to the first round of the NCHC playoffs this weekend.
Yeah, it's a fun time of year. Obviously, I mean, this is where everybody's been preparing all season for this time of year. So it's a lot of fun, and we'll see kind of what shakes down. There's a lot of kind of questions, I guess, going into for the NCHC teams. A lot of question marks as to how this is all going to shake down.
And now looking at last weekend when the Huskies went up against the Bulldogs, it was a loss on Friday night, but Coach Larson wasn't unhappy with the team's play. What did you see that maybe was a little bit different from other losses that they've had this season?
I thought, in the first 7-8 minutes of that game, they came out with a lot of jump and really were forcing kind of the tempo of the game. And when they're doing that, I mean, that's when they're the most effective. They're a very good skating team, and so I mean, when they're getting up and down the ice like they were, that's when they're gonna be winning games and stuff. They had a couple bad bounces in the first period on Friday night, but showed a lot of resilience.
Yeah, and we saw another unusual goal coming from Brendan Bushy, shorthanded and again far away from the net. Was that goal a little bit of a confidence builder for him?
I mean, he's not a guy that, lives and breathes as to whether or not he's getting points. But, I think anytime that you score, you feel like, what it reinforces the positive vibe of I'm doing something right. And it was funny. I was at practice yesterday, and he caught a puck on this drill in the same spot and scored from the same spot. And everybody on the bench was talking about how that's his spot on the ice now. And so anyway, I mean, it's a fun thing, that happens when a guy that you don't typically anticipate is going to be part of the scoring ends up with a huge goal in that game. That ends up being the game-tying goal in that game.
And now looking at Kyler Kupka, 2 goals and then the assist on Zach Okabe's, a really nice assist on Zach Okabe's overtime goal. Do you think he's finally finding his play?
I mean, I think it's been a little bit of a tough season for Kyler in that, when he had to have the appendectomy, he was really playing well. And you take yourself out of the line, end up having to be out of the lineup there for a month, I think it was, that he was out. And it's tough to kind of get back into the same group that you were in, no matter how good a shape you were in and everything else. I thought he had a great weekend, and he was very active. You noticed him when he was out on the ice. He's an extremely effective player, particularly down low. I mean, you get down below the face-off dots with Kyler Kupka, and he's going to do some damage. And that's a really good sign for St. Cloud State. I mean, that they got him kind of back going again, back playing well. He's a guy that could be a difference maker here as we're looking ahead to the postseason.
And you touched on it a little bit. First round of the NCHC playoffs this weekend, and the Huskies are going up against the Bulldogs for the 5th, 6th, and possibly 7th time this season. Now, Coach Larson described it as an NHL-type atmosphere. What can we expect from this weekend at the Brooks Center?
Well, I mean, I think you expect more, more close games and real, tightly contested, feisty games. When we start seeing a team 5 and 6 times, there are things that hockey players don't forget things, and so there are things now that go back a couple of months from when they played the last time. A few times they played this team a lot. I mean, they played them in the first round of the playoffs last season. So for some of these players, I mean, this is the team that they've seen the most here throughout their careers here at St. Cloud State. So you think of guys like, Spencer Meyer, Brendan Bushy, or whatever, who have been here for 5 seasons. Think of the number of games that they've played against UMD. So it's a rivalry series. So I mean, I think that adds a little bit more to what's going on top of the fact that UMD is playing for their season. I mean, if they don't win this series, they're done. St. Cloud State is trying to get a little bit healthier, and they also want to you know, they feel like they owe UMD something after you know, the way things have gone here with only winning one out of the 4 games that they played during the regular season.
All right, well, that's all I have for you on this episode of Rinkside. Make sure you follow Mick the Rink Live and the Huskies to stay updated on this first round of the NCHC playoffs.